My boyfriend joked, "My office wife remembers everything I like." I smiled and let everyone laugh. That night, I opened his laptop and found a spreadsheet with my name listed as a relationship risk. My boyfriend raised his glass in front of 20 people and said, "Honestly, my office wife remembers what I like better than my actual girlfriend." Everyone laughed. Not the polite kind of laughter people give when they don't know whether a joke has gone too far. This was loud, effortless laughter, the kind that tells you everyone in the room has already decided you're the punchline. His mother laughed the loudest. She reached over and patted Evan's arm. "See? Even successful men need a woman who understands their careers." Then she glanced at me with a smile that somehow felt like criticism. I laughed too. At least, that's what everyone in the room probably thought. The sound that came out of my mouth didn't feel like laughter. It felt like surrender. My name is Natalie Hart. I'm 32. By profession, I evaluate risk for a national logistics company. Most days, people paid me to notice the tiny warning signs everyone else ignored. Funny enough, I couldn't see the ones waiting for me at my own dinner table. If you'd asked me that morning what the biggest risk in my life was, I would have said market volatility. By midnight, I would have laughed at my own answer. Evan Mercer and I had been together for 3 years. We lived in my townhouse, drove the car I helped him qualify for, and slept under a roof where half the furniture had been bought during the version of our relationship where I still believed we were building something. Evan was 29. People liked Evan almost immediately. He remembered birthdays, learned people's names after meeting them once, and somehow made complete strangers feel as though they'd known him for years. That gift explained why I'd ignored so many warning signs. The problem had a name. Vanessa Cole. I hadn't met her yet, but she'd already become the third person in our apartment. She was his department director at a boutique real estate investment firm. 41, polished, divorced, expensive, and always described by Evan as brilliant. At first, I liked hearing him excited about work. One week, she was recommending books. The next, she was choosing his lunches. Eventually, she started commenting on the women he dated. That last one landed quietly. I was folding laundry when he said it. I looked up. "She said that?" He shrugged. "She was joking." "About me?" "Nat, don't be insecure." Every conversation followed the same pattern. I'd ask a simple question. He'd never answer it. Instead, he'd ask why I was so insecure. By the end of the conversation, I was apologizing for the question he'd refused to answer. Insecure. I had heard it so many times it almost sounded like my name. The birthday dinner was supposed to be for Evan's promotion. I booked the private room. I confirmed the menu. I bought the cake. I'd even called the restaurant twice that week to make sure his favorite bourbon would be waiting at the table. I wanted everything to be perfect. I had no idea perfection was about to become the stage for the worst night of my relationship. His best friend Chase slapped him on the back. "Man, senior associate before 30. You're basically married to that office now." Evan grinned. "I do have an office wife." His mother leaned in, delighted. "Oh? Who?" "Vanessa," he said, like her name belonged in the family. I felt my fork stop halfway to my plate. His sister smiled awkwardly. "Isn't she your boss?" "Director," Evan corrected. "And she's amazing." "Careful, man," Chase laughed. "If Vanessa keeps living rent-free in your head, Natalie might start charging her utilities." Evan turned toward me, eyes bright with the kind of confidence alcohol gives weak men. "Honestly, my office wife remembers what I like better than my actual girlfriend." Laughter rolled across the table before anyone bothered to look at me. Even the waiter smiled politely, assuming he'd just witnessed a harmless joke. No one noticed I had stopped eating. His mother covered her mouth, but not fast enough. My eyes found Evan across the room. He was still smiling. Around him, everyone else was still laughing. I don't think he even noticed I'd stopped eating. I didn't decide in that moment. Some part of me already had. If he wanted an audience, I'd give him one. So I smiled. "You're right," I said. The laughter faded by half a second. Evan blinked. "What?" "You're right. If she takes such good care of you, I should probably thank her." Confidence slipped from his face. "I'm not." His mother tilted her head. "Natalie, sweetheart, he's just joking." "Men tease the women they feel safe with," she added. "You shouldn't make such a big deal out of it." I turned to her gently. "Then everyone should be comfortable with me laughing too, right?" No one laughed after that. The rest of dinner moved strangely. People talked around me. Evan checked his phone under the table. Twice, I saw Vanessa's name flash on his screen. The second message said, "I read the message once, then again." I kept hoping I'd misunderstood who'd sent it. I hadn't. I did not react. I excused myself to the restroom, locked the stall door, and breathed through the first real wave of humiliation. I gripped the edge of the sink until my fingers hurt. It gave me something real to focus on besides the embarrassment. I wasn't trying not to cry. I was trying not to walk back out there and ask a question I already knew the answer to. I counted slowly to 10. When that didn't help, I counted again. Whatever this had become, it wasn't harmless anymore. I was the only person still pretending our relationship only involved two people. When we got home, Evan tossed his jacket over the chair and said, "You made dinner uncomfortable." Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "I'm sorry." His first concern was the atmosphere, not the woman he'd embarrassed. I stood by the kitchen island. "I made it uncomfortable? You got passive-aggressive. You humiliated me in front of your family." He rolled his eyes. It was a joke. Was Vanessa joking when she asked if I behaved? Something flickered across his face before he could hide it. "You looked at my phone?" It lit up. "You're unbelievable." "No," I said. "I'm awake." He scoffed, walked past me, and headed upstairs. "I'm not doing this tonight." Of course he wasn't. Evan had always been brave in front of an audience. Whenever no one else was watching, he always found a way to leave the conversation unfinished. I waited until the shower turned on. Then I did something I had never done in 3 years. I opened the laptop he always left charging in the living room. He'd been using the same password since we'd started dating. I'd teased him more than once that if anyone ever wanted to hack him, they'd barely have to try. That joke stopped being funny the moment the login opened. The login opened on the first try. His email was already open. I expected flirting, maybe dinner plans, maybe messages that would hurt but make sense. Instead, I found a calendar invite. Subject: Client Hospitality Review. Attendees: Evan Mercer, Vanessa Cole, Private External Counsel. Location: Conference Room 14B. Time: Monday, 8 a.m. At the bottom, one line had been added by Vanessa. "Bring the gift records. If Natalie asks, say it's compliance cleanup." My skin went cold. Gift records? I searched Vanessa's name. Dozens of emails appeared. Lunch receipts, hotel lounge reservations, reimbursement notes, even private car bookings. Each file made the last one harder to ignore. A weekend client retreat Evan had told me was canceled. Then I found a spreadsheet. The file name was simple: Discretionary Relationship Expenses. The title wasn't Client Hospitality. It wasn't networking. It wasn't even Executive Relations. It was simply Relationship Expenses. For a few seconds, I couldn't hear anything except my own breathing. Evan had been letting Vanessa pay for things through company accounts. Lunches, clothes, rides, a watch I had asked about 2 months ago. He told me he bought it himself. He had kissed me with that lie still warm on his mouth. Then I saw my own name. One line had been highlighted in yellow. Natalie Hart. Risk assessment. Delay disclosure until promotion review concludes. I read it again. Then a third time. Somehow seeing my name in a corporate spreadsheet hurt more than every lie he'd told me. I stared at the screen. They hadn't written about me as Evan's girlfriend. They'd written about me like a variable in a spreadsheet, something to manage before Monday. Water stopped running upstairs. I knew I had less than a minute. I took photos of everything with my phone. Every email, every receipt, every line where Vanessa wrote like she owned the man living in my house. Then I closed the laptop exactly as I found it. When Evan came downstairs in sweatpants, drying his hair, I was standing at the sink drinking water. He looked suspicious. "What are you doing?" "Getting a drink." He watched me for a long moment. "You're being weird." I smiled softly. No, Evan, I'm stepping up." His face tightened. "What does that mean?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then a voicemail appeared. I pressed play. A woman's voice came through, low and nervous. "Natalie, you don't know me. My name is Melissa. I work with Evan. Please don't tell him I called. But if Vanessa finds out you know anything before Monday, she's going to make sure you look like the unstable girlfriend who tried to destroy him." A pause. Then the sentence that changed everything. "And Natalie, Evan is not the only man she's done this to." I looked toward the stairs where Evan was sleeping. Until that moment, I'd been trying to figure out whether my relationship could be saved. After hearing Melissa's voice, I realized I was asking the wrong question. The real question was how much damage had already been done. I replayed the voicemail once. The second time, I stopped listening to the words. I started listening to the fear behind them. Evan is not the only man she's done this to. Those 8 words refused to leave the room. Even after the voicemail ended, they seemed to echo off every wall in the kitchen. I saved the voicemail. Then I emailed it to myself. Then I uploaded the photos from Evan's laptop into a private folder and changed the password on my own cloud account. At 1:12 a.m., another message came from the unknown number. "Melissa, please don't call me. Text only." "Me? Who are you?" "Melissa, I'm in operations. I process vendor approvals and internal expense flags. Vanessa has been using client hospitality to cover personal spending for men she favors." "Me? Why tell me?" The reply took 4 minutes. "Melissa, because one of them was my fiancé." I stared at my phone until the screen went dark. Whoever Melissa was, she wasn't trying to sound convincing. She sounded exhausted. There was a difference. The house was quiet. Upstairs, Evan slept like a man who still believed the floor would hold. Melissa sent another message. "Melissa, he lost his job. She kept hers. He looked guilty because she made him look greedy. I tried to report it. HR buried it. My stomach twisted. Me, why would HR bury it? Melissa, because Vanessa brings in investors, and because her brother sits on the board. For the first time, the pieces stopped looking random. Vanessa wasn't simply crossing professional boundaries. She'd built an environment where nobody wanted to question her. And Evan, arrogant, insecure Evan, had walked right into it because she called him special. The next morning, he came downstairs cheerful. That was what stunned me most. Not the lying, the ease. He kissed my cheek while I poured coffee. The kiss lasted less than a second. I'd never noticed before how easy it was to fake intimacy when the truth lived somewhere else. Morning. I looked at his face and wondered how many versions of him existed. The sweet one who rubbed my shoulders when I worked late. The vain one who liked being wanted. The cruel one who humiliated me at dinner. The frightened one who was about to find out he was not Vanessa's partner in crime. He still believed he mattered to her. She'd already decided he was disposable. You're quiet, he said. I didn't sleep well. Still upset about last night? I looked at him over the rim of my mug. Should I not be? He sighed. Nat, come on. My mom already texted me saying she thinks you took it too seriously. Your mom was laughing. She laughs when she is uncomfortable. She looked comfortable. His jaw tightened. I have a big week. I can't spend it managing your feelings. He'd done it again. Somehow my feelings had become the problem instead of his behavior. He didn't hear a girlfriend asking for respect. He heard another problem delaying his Monday morning meeting. I smiled just enough to make him uneasy. Then don't. He stared at me. What does that mean? It means focus on your big week. For a second, he seemed relieved. His shoulders loosened for the first time that morning. His shoulders relaxed. He picked up his coffee. From the way he settled back into his chair, I got the feeling he believed the conversation was over. I let him believe it. By noon, Melissa and I had exchanged enough messages for me to understand the shape of the trap. Monday's client hospitality review was not routine. Finance had flagged irregular spending connected to Vanessa's cost center. Vanessa planned to frame the expenses as Evan's aggressive networking behavior. According to Melissa, she had already started telling people that Evan blurred boundaries and misinterpreted mentorship. I almost laughed when I read that. Misinterpreted mentorship. A clean phrase for a dirty game. Me, does Evan know? Melissa, I don't think so. Me, why warn me if you hate him? Melissa, I don't hate him. I hate her, and I hate women being called unstable when they're reacting to real lies. I read the message twice before putting the phone face down on the table. At 4:30 p.m., Evan texted. Evan, Vanessa wants me at a small celebration tonight. Investors love the pitch deck. Me, congratulations. Evan, don't be cold. Me, I said congratulations. Evan, she said I should bring you sometime so you can see this is all professional. I stared at that text. Vanessa wanted me close now. That meant one of two things. Either she did not know I had seen anything, or she suspected I had and wanted to measure the damage. I typed back. Me, tell her I'd love that. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Evan, really? Me, really? At 7:15, I walked into a rooftop bar downtown wearing a black dress Evan had once said made me look too intimidating. Perfect. For once I wanted people to think twice before walking toward me. The room was all glass, city lights, and expensive laughter. Evan spotted me near the elevator and rushed over. You came. You invited me. He lowered his voice. Please be normal. I smiled. Define normal. Before he could answer, a woman in cream silk appeared behind him. Vanessa Cole was prettier in person than in photos. Not soft pretty, controlled pretty. Every detail sharpened. Diamond earrings, smooth hair, smile like a contract. Natalie, she said, taking both my hands before I offered either. Finally, I've heard so much about you. I let her hold my hands. Funny, I said, same. Her smile did not move, but something behind her eyes paused. Evan laughed too loudly. See? You two are going to get along. Vanessa turned to him. Get us drinks, will you? It was not a question. Evan went. The moment Evan walked away, Vanessa stopped pretending to be friendly. Vanessa leaned closer. I know last night was awkward. Which part? She gave a small, graceful laugh. Evan's joke. He can be careless when he's excited. That must be difficult to manage. Her eyes sharpened. Then she smiled again. He's talented. Men with potential sometimes need guidance. And women with power sometimes mistake guidance for ownership. For the first time, Vanessa blinked. Then she laughed softly. You're direct. I work in risk. So, Evan said. Did he also tell you I'm emotionally volatile? Her face went perfectly still. Her smile stayed exactly where it was. Only her eyes changed. Her fingers tightened around the stem of her glass. Only for a second. Then she loosened her grip and smiled again. Evan returned, holding 2 drinks, and froze between us, like a waiter walking into a fire. What's going on? He asked. Vanessa recovered first. Natalie and I are just getting acquainted. I took the drink from Evan and did not sip it. I was telling Vanessa I admire how much interest she takes in your career. Evan smiled nervously. Yeah, she's been amazing. Vanessa touched his sleeve. A tiny gesture. Possessive. Evan works hard, she said. He deserves someone who sees his value. I looked at her hand, then at him. Does he? His smile faded. Natalie, he warned. Vanessa's voice lowered. You probably don't want to have this conversation here. She smiled politely. The warning was hidden inside the kindness. There it was. Not even hidden. A threat wrapped in etiquette. I leaned in just enough so only she could hear me. You should know something about women like me, Vanessa. We don't make scenes unless we already know where the exits are. Her expression changed. It wasn't fear. It was the look of someone realizing the other person already knew more than expected. She knew I had something. Before she could answer, a man approached from behind her. Gray suit, silver hair, expensive watch, cold eyes. Vanessa, he said, we need to talk. She turned sharply. Not now. The man looked at Evan, then at me. You must be Natalie. My grip tightened around the glass. I am. He held out a business card. My name is Russell Grant. I'm outside counsel for the board. Evan went pale. Vanessa's face hardened. Russell, this is inappropriate. He ignored her. Natalie, if anyone from this company contacts you, records you, pressures you, or asks you to make a statement about Evan Mercer's behavior, call me first. Evan's voice cracked. What? Why would they contact Natalie? Russell looked at him with something almost like pity. Because, Mr. Mercer, by Monday morning, your personal relationship may become part of a formal internal investigation. The rooftop noise seemed to fall away. Evan turned to Vanessa. Formal investigation? Vanessa's smile was gone now. Russell is being dramatic. Russell slid another card into my hand. No, he said. I'm being early. Then he looked directly at Vanessa. And for once, you're late. The drive home should have taken 20 minutes. It took almost 40. I stopped at 2 red lights that had already turned green because I realized I was staring straight through them. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I couldn't remember a single street I'd driven down. The city lights blurred through the windshield. I kept waiting to cry. Instead, I just sat there staring through the windshield until my phone vibrated again. The traffic light turned green again. I still hadn't moved. My phone vibrated. Evan calling. I declined it. It rang again. And again. On the 5th call, he sent a message. Evan, please answer. You're making this worse. I can explain. Just don't make any decisions tonight. I laughed once. A dry, exhausted laugh. By the 5th call, I already knew what the next message would sound like before I opened it. I started the engine and drove home. 20 minutes later, the front door burst open. Natalie! Evan's voice echoed through the townhouse. I was sitting on the couch with my laptop open, reading through the screenshots I'd taken the night before. He stopped when he saw me. His tie was loose. His hair looked like he'd been dragging his hands through it for an hour. You left. Yes. You embarrassed me. I slowly closed my laptop. I embarrassed you? You walked out in front of investors. No. I stood. You invited me into a room where your boss treated me like I was an inconvenience. He rubbed both hands over his face. You don't understand what's happening. Then explain. He looked away. I already knew what was coming. Finally, he sat across from me. It started as mentorship. I believe that. Then, she started helping me. I know. I never asked for expensive dinners. I know. I never asked for the watch. I know. He looked surprised. I know about the watch. His breathing changed. How? I know about the hotel reservations. The answer disappeared from his expression before he said a word. I know about the expense reports. His lips parted. I know about Monday morning. The confidence I'd always hated finally disappeared from his face. He already knew denial wasn't going to save him. Natalie, what exactly were you planning to tell me after the investigation? There wasn't supposed to be an investigation. I almost smiled. There always was. He stared at the floor. I made mistakes. Mistakes? His voice cracked. Every time I walked into work, she made me feel like I mattered. I got addicted to that. I didn't even realize it until I couldn't stop chasing it. Listening to him, I finally understood what had really hooked him. It wasn't love. It was the feeling of being admired. I'd seen that look before, not just in him, in people who mistake admiration for love. When I started there, he whispered, I was just another employee. Then Vanessa noticed me. He looked up. She told me I was different. I nodded. I'm sure she did. She said I deserved more responsibility. I'm sure she said that too. She believed in me. No, I interrupted him. She invested in you. He frowned. What? She wasn't helping you, Evan. She was buying something. You just never asked what the price would be. He didn't answer, because he knew I was right. The doorbell rang. 3 sharp knocks. Evan frowned. Were you expecting someone? No. I opened the door. Standing there was a woman in her early 40s. Simple navy suit. No makeup. Red eyes. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. You must be Natalie. I am. My name is Olivia Caldwell. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. Caldwell. Vanessa's last name. She saw the realization in my face. I'm Vanessa's younger sister. I hadn't expected that. Not even close. She glanced past me. Is Evan here? He is. She inhaled slowly. I need 5 minutes. I almost went to the police. His attention shifted back to me. Then I watched that dinner video someone posted online. Melissa recognized me immediately. She was the one who gave me your address. She said if anyone could stop Vanessa from destroying another person, it would be you. I knew from your face that you weren't pretending. Evan appeared behind me. The second he saw Olivia, his face turned ghost white. Oh God. Olivia looked at him with a sadness that hurt more than anger. You remember me? He nodded. Vanessa introduced us once. Yes. At the charity gala. She folded her arms. She introduced you as the future of the company. No one rushed to fill the silence. Finally, Olivia looked at me. Natalie, I'm sorry to come here unannounced, but I don't think anyone has told you who my sister really is. Evan whispered. Olivia? She ignored him. People always think Vanessa falls in love. She doesn't. Olivia swallowed. It took me years to admit that. She recruits people. Nobody interrupted her. Even Evan kept his eyes on the floor. Olivia continued. For almost 10 years, she's found ambitious young men inside the company, made them feel indispensable, blurred professional boundaries, then discarded them the moment they became a liability. I looked at Evan. He wasn't denying a single word. Olivia opened her handbag. I didn't come here to defend Vanessa. I came because I found something in our late father's storage unit. She pulled out a thick brown envelope. I don't even know if I should be giving you this, but I couldn't keep pretending I never found it. I could hear my own breathing louder than Olivia's voice. What is it? She looked directly into my eyes. Evidence. Then she added the sentence that made every hair on my arm stand up. And if what's inside this envelope is real, and Evan isn't the first victim, and he may not even be the biggest one. Olivia placed the envelope on my coffee table like it weighed more than paper. Evan didn't move. That scared me more than if he had shouted. What's inside? I asked. Olivia looked at him first. Emails, voice memos, transfer records, and a list. A list of what? Her mouth tightened. Men Vanessa promoted, isolated, used, and then destroyed. Evan whispered, No. Olivia's eyes softened for half a second. Yes. I opened the envelope. The first page was a printed email from Vanessa to an old company consultant. The subject line read, Retention Strategy, Male Talent Pipeline. I felt sick before I even read the body. Vanessa had not just flirted with ambitious men. She had studied them. Their debts, their insecurities, their girlfriends, their families, their weaknesses. Evan's name was there. Next to it, Vanessa had written, highly responsive to praise. Partner appears financially stable but emotionally cautious. Separate before promotion review. I looked at Evan. He looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under him. Natalie, he said, voice barely there. I didn't know. I believed him. That should have made me feel better. Instead, it made everything worse. Olivia pulled out a small recorder. This is my sister talking to our father 6 years ago. She pressed play. Vanessa's voice filled my living room. Cold, calm, smiling through every word. Men like that are easy. You make them feel chosen, then they'll betray anyone proving they deserved it. Evan sat down hard. His hands covered his mouth. Olivia stopped the recording. My father kept everything. He thought Vanessa was brilliant. I thought she was dangerous. I stared at the papers. Why bring this to me? Because Monday's investigation won't expose Vanessa. It'll bury Evan. Evan looked up sharply. What? Olivia nodded. She already prepared her story. She'll say you became obsessed. She'll say you pressured her for favors. She'll say Natalie was unstable and jealous, and you panicked because your girlfriend found out. My throat tightened. So she gets protected again? Yes. And Evan takes the fall? Yes. Evan stood suddenly. I'm calling her. I grabbed his wrist. No. He looked at me, desperate. Natalie. No, that's exactly what she wants. One emotional call, one angry voicemail, one message she can twist. He stopped halfway through the movement, like his body had forgotten what it was about to do. Months of stubbornness finally gave way. Olivia gave a faint nod. She's right. Evan sank back down. What do we do? I looked at the envelope, then at the man who had hurt me, then at the woman who had brought me the weapon to save him. My eyes drifted from the envelope to Evan, then finally to Olivia, who still hadn't sat down. I could walk away. I had every right. But if I did, Vanessa would win again. Not just against Evan, against every woman she had called unstable while she quietly set fires behind closed doors. I picked up Russell Grant's card. We don't call Vanessa, I said. Evan stared at me. We call the one person she didn't expect me to trust. Who? I held up the card. The board's lawyer. Olivia exhaled. Evan's voice cracked. Natalie, why would you help me? I looked at him for a long second. I'm not helping you. His face fell. I'm helping the truth. My phone was already dialing. Russell answered on the second ring. Natalie? I have Olivia Caldwell in my living room. Silence. Then his voice changed. Do not let her leave. Olivia's face went pale. I frowned. Why? Russell spoke slowly. Because Vanessa reported Olivia missing from a psychiatric care facility 2 hours ago. Olivia dropped the recorder. Evan stood. I turned toward her. Olivia? She backed away from the table, eyes filling with panic. That's not true. Russell's voice came through the phone, colder now. Natalie, listen carefully. Vanessa is trying to discredit the witness before she can testify. A car door slammed outside. Then another. Blue and red lights flashed against my front windows. Olivia whispered, "She found me." And then someone pounded on my door. The pounding on my front door grew louder. "Open the door, police!" Olivia's face turned white. "They're not here for me," she whispered. "They're here because Vanessa got to them first." Russell's voice was still coming through my phone. "Natalie, don't let Olivia speak to anyone alone. Put me on speaker." I did. Another knock. "Ma'am, this is the police department. We need to speak with Olivia Caldwell." I unlocked the door but kept the chain latched. A uniformed officer stood outside with a woman in a tailored gray suit holding a leather briefcase. The woman smiled politely. "Officer, my client filed an emergency wellness petition this afternoon. We're not here to arrest anyone. We're here because confidential corporate documents have allegedly been removed. We'd simply like to speak with Ms. Caldwell." Russell almost shouted through my phone. "Do not let that attorney inside." Rebecca heard him. Her smile faded. "I see you've already received legal advice." "I have," I replied. "What do you want?" She folded her hands calmly. "We've received credible reports that Ms. Olivia Caldwell is experiencing a severe mental health episode. She's removed confidential corporate documents and made several false accusations against my client." Olivia stepped forward. "That's a lie." Rebecca didn't even look at her. "Ms. Caldwell has been under psychiatric treatment for paranoid delusions involving her sister." The officer shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am," he said to Olivia, "we're only here to make sure everyone's safe." Russell interrupted. "Officer, this conversation is being recorded. I represent parties involved in an active corporate investigation. Unless you have a warrant, neither you nor opposing counsel should be discussing confidential evidence." The officer immediately looked at Rebecca. "You didn't mention that." Rebecca's expression hardened for the first time. "This matter is more complicated than it appears." Russell answered before I could. "I'm making an educated guess, and I hope I'm wrong." The officer took one step back. "Without a warrant, there's nothing I can do tonight. If either party wishes to file a formal complaint, you're welcome to do so tomorrow." Rebecca realized she had lost the moment. She looked directly at me. "Natalie, be careful who you trust." Then she looked at Evan. "My client was trying to build your career." She paused just long enough for the words to sting. Some opportunities never come twice. They left. The flashing lights disappeared down the street. Only after the silence returned did I realize my hands were shaking. Russell arrived 20 minutes later. He wasn't what I expected. No expensive suit. No dramatic entrance. Just a navy overcoat, a messenger bag, and tired eyes that suggested he'd spent years cleaning up other people's disasters. He sat at my dining table and carefully examined every document Olivia had brought. He didn't speak for nearly 10 minutes. Finally, he looked at Olivia. "Where did you find these?" "In our father's storage unit." "Has anyone else seen them?" "No." He nodded slowly. "Good." Evan leaned forward. "So, this proves Vanessa framed people?" Russell looked at him for several seconds. "No." Evan frowned. "What?" "It proves she collected information." "That's enough, isn't it?" "No." Russell slid one document toward us. "This email can be explained away." Another. "This spreadsheet can be called an internal draft." Another. "The voice recording may not even be admissible." My heart sank. "So none of this matters?" Russell met my eyes. "It matters. But not in the way you think." He reached into his own briefcase and removed a thin blue folder. "This is what matters." Inside were financial audit summaries, expense approvals, internal reimbursement reports, vendor contracts. Every page carried signatures. Vanessa's. And one other name. I looked closer. The signature repeated over and over. Board Treasurer. Martin Hale. Olivia's eyes widened. "No." Russell nodded grimly. "Your sister never acted alone. Nobody reached for another document." Even Evan stopped talking. Evan whispered, "The board." Russell finished the sentence. "Someone at the top has been protecting her for years." Every assumption I'd made shattered at once. This wasn't one manipulative executive. This was an entire network protecting itself. I leaned back in my chair. "So Monday's investigation. It isn't about Evan." Russell shook his head. "No. It's about deciding who becomes the sacrifice." Evan swallowed hard. "And I'm the easiest one to blame." "Exactly." Olivia looked devastated. "My father knew." Russell nodded once. "He knew enough to keep copies. And now those copies make everyone dangerous." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Russell immediately held out his hand. "Don't answer." The call stopped. A text arrived instead. It contained only one photograph. I opened it. My blood froze. It was a picture of my townhouse, taken from across the street. Timestamp. 3 minutes ago. Below it was one sentence. You're protecting the wrong man. Tomorrow you'll learn what Evan has been hiding from you. I slowly turned the phone toward Evan, his face drained of every trace of color. He didn't look confused. He looked terrified. I stared at him. Evan! What aren't you telling me? Evan didn't answer. Not immediately. He looked at the photograph on my phone as though it belonged to another life. Russell quietly reached over and turned the screen face down. Who else knows about this house? He asked. No one, Evan whispered. Russell didn't blink. That's not what I asked. Evan closed his eyes. Aunt Vanessa. Nobody said anything. Outside, a dog barked somewhere down the street. Inside, no one moved. Olivia looked away. I stood and walked to the kitchen window. Outside, the street looked perfectly ordinary. Neighbors walking dogs. Porch lights glowing. A delivery driver pulling away. Nothing looked dangerous. Yet someone had been sitting outside my home minutes earlier. Watching. Photographing. Waiting. I turned back. You've got exactly one chance. Evan slowly raised his head. No more protecting her. No more protecting yourself. I want everything. His shoulders collapsed. I never had an affair. I didn't respond. I swear, Natalie. I never slept with Vanessa. Russell interrupted. That's not the question anymore. Evan nodded. I know. He took a long breath. About 4 months ago, Vanessa asked me to help with a private investment opportunity. Russell's expression darkened. What kind of investment? Property acquisitions. Olivia shook her head. My sister doesn't invest. I didn't know that then. Evan continued. She said senior executives sometimes bought commercial buildings before redevelopment projects became public. I frowned. Insider information. I didn't think about it like that. No, I replied quietly. You thought about getting rich. His eyes filled with shame. Yes. That one word hurt more than another lie. He didn't try to soften it. That frightened me more than another excuse would have. I never invested my own money, he continued quickly. She said my name had a clean credit history. I felt my grip on the edge of the table tighten without realizing it. What did you sign? What did you sign, Evan? He looked directly at me. Loan guarantees. Everyone started talking at once. No one could believe what they'd just heard. You what? I thought they were temporary. Russell stood so quickly, his chair scraped the floor. How many? Evan swallowed. I don't know. Guess. Maybe. 3. Russell let out one short laugh. It wasn't amusement. It sounded more like disbelief. 3 loan guarantees. They were just paperwork. Russell slammed both hands on the table. There is no such thing as just paperwork. Evan looked like he wanted the floor to open beneath him. I trusted her. Russell pointed at him. No. You trusted easy money. No one argued. Because no one could. Act. For nearly an hour, Evan answered questions. Each answer uncovered another mistake. Vanessa had introduced him to developers. Private dinners. Weekend networking retreats. Confidential meetings that had nothing to do with his job description. Every time he hesitated, she praised him. Every time he questioned something, she reminded him how successful people took risks. Every signature had seemed harmless. Every favor had felt temporary, until they weren't. Russell gathered the papers into neat piles. This is no longer an HR issue. What is it? Potential financial fraud. Olivia covered her mouth. My God. Russell nodded. If the money trail matches these guarantees, federal investigators will become interested. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. This time Russell answered it. He said nothing. He simply listened. After 15 seconds, he hung up. Who was that? The board chairman. Everyone stared. What did he want? Russell's expression remained unreadable. He wants a meeting. When? Tomorrow morning. With who? Russell looked directly at me. You. I blinked. Why me? Because you're the only person in this room who hasn't signed anything. And because they believe you're the weakest link. I almost laughed. They've clearly never met me. For the first time all night, Russell smiled. Exactly. The next morning, we met inside a private conference room at a downtown law office. Not the company. Neutral ground. Waiting inside were 3 people. The board chairman, a corporate attorney, a forensic accountant. No Vanessa. No cameras. No assistants. The chairman folded his hands. Ms. Hart, thank you for coming. I didn't come voluntarily. No, you came because you deserve answers. He slid a document across the table. This is our proposed settlement. I didn't touch it. What settlement? If you agree that your relationship issues with Mr. Mercer were entirely personal and unrelated to company conduct, we'll ensure your name never appears in any investigation. Russell remained silent, watching. The chairman continued. In return, you'll sign a confidentiality agreement. I finally picked up the document. The last page contained a number, $2,500,000. I looked up slowly. You're offering me $2.5 million. Correct. To lie. To avoid unnecessary public attention. I smiled. Not because I was tempted, because I finally understood. This had never been about protecting Vanessa. She was only one piece. Someone much higher was trying to bury the entire scheme before regulators discovered it. I placed the agreement back on the table. Without signing, I have one question. The chairman nodded. Go ahead. I looked him straight in the eye. How many people have you paid before me? His face didn't change, but the forensic accountant's did. Just enough. I saw it. Russell saw it too. The accountant realized his mistake the instant it happened. Too late. Russell quietly leaned toward me. Stand up. I frowned. Why? They've just confirmed this conspiracy is bigger than we thought. I stood. So we're leaving? Russell smiled. No. We're letting them believe they still have a chance. Before anyone could react, the conference room door opened. A woman wearing a dark blue blazer stepped inside. She held up a badge. Russell glanced at his watch. They should be here any minute. The board chairman frowned. What are you talking about? Russell didn't answer. He simply looked toward the conference room door. Good morning. My name is Special Agent Claire Donovan, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The chairman went completely white. She looked around the room. Nobody leaves. Then she turned toward me. Ms. Hart. Thank you for not signing. Nobody moved. The conference room, so full of carefully rehearsed confidence only seconds earlier, collapsed into complete silence. The chairman slowly lowered his hands from the settlement agreement. I believe, he said carefully, there's been a misunderstanding. Special Agent Claire Donovan didn't even glance at him. There has. She stepped farther into the room as 2 more agents entered behind her. It lasted approximately 6 years. The chairman's lawyer immediately stood. My clients invoke their right to counsel. Claire nodded. Wise decision. Then she turned toward Russell. Mr. Grant. Russell handed her a flash drive. The documents Olivia recovered, and the financial trail Natalie helped preserve. Claire accepted it. Thank you. I finally let myself breathe. Not because everything was over, because the truth had finally reached people who couldn't be bought with promotions or intimidated by boardroom titles. The investigation spread faster than anyone expected. Within 48 hours, federal agents executed search warrants at the company's headquarters. Computers were seized. Financial records disappeared into evidence boxes. Executives who had spent years speaking with absolute confidence suddenly refused to answer reporters' questions. Every news station seemed to carry the same headline: Federal investigation targets executive expense fraud and corporate abuse of authority. Vanessa Cole was placed on administrative leave before noon. By sunset, she had resigned. She released a public statement claiming she was the victim of a politically motivated investigation. Nobody believed it. Not anymore. The hardest conversation came 3 days later. Evan asked if we could meet. I almost refused. Almost. We met at the small coffee shop where we'd had our first date 3 years earlier. Funny how familiar places become strangers. He looked older. Not physically. Emotionally. The confidence that had once filled every room around him had disappeared. He stood when I walked in. You came. I said I would. He nodded and sat back down. For a while, neither of us spoke. Finally, he looked at me. I keep trying to decide whether I was a victim. Or just an idiot. I stirred my coffee. They aren't mutually exclusive. He actually laughed. A tired laugh. I guess not. He looked out the window before speaking again. I never stopped loving you. The words landed softly. Months earlier, they would have shattered me. Now, they were simply true. And yet, I replied quietly, you stopped respecting me. His eyes filled. I know. I thought being admired meant I was finally becoming someone. You already were someone. I know that now. He swallowed hard. But I learned it after losing the one person who believed it before I did. Silence settled between us. Peaceful this time, not awkward. He reached into his jacket pocket and placed a small box on the table. It wasn't a ring. It was a key. My apartment. I signed a lease yesterday. I finally moved everything out of your townhouse. I looked at the key, but didn't touch it. You could have mailed it. I know. I wanted to return it in person. I smiled faintly. Thank you. He hesitated. Is there any chance? I gently shook my head before he could finish. No. He closed his eyes, not in anger. Acceptance. I figured you deserved the truth anyway. You did. Months passed. A week after the indictments, Chase texted me. I should have stopped him that night. I read the message, locked my phone, and never answered. The federal case expanded. Several executives accepted plea agreements. Others chose trial. Russell told me the investigation had uncovered years of hidden financial manipulation disguised as executive hospitality expenses. Olivia testified, calmly, clearly. She spent years believing nobody would ever listen. Now entire courtrooms did. Vanessa was indicted on multiple financial crimes, along with several senior executives who had protected her. The company itself survived. Barely. Thousands of honest employees had done nothing wrong. They deserved better leadership than the people who had treated ambition like a weapon. Life slowly became ordinary again. Ordinary turned out to be beautiful. I accepted a position leading risk strategy for another firm. The irony wasn't lost on me. After everything that had happened, I was still evaluating risk. Only now I understood something spreadsheets could never measure. They handed me my new office key. I slipped it into my pocket without thinking. Only when I got to my car did it hit me. I still worked in risk. Only now I trusted my instincts more than my spreadsheets. Natalie. I turned. Evan. He looked different. The expensive confidence was gone. For the first time, he looked like an ordinary man. No expensive suits. No designer watch. Just a man carrying groceries. We stood there for a moment, neither of us pretending to be strangers. How are you? He asked. I'm happy. He smiled. I can see that. And you? I'm rebuilding. Good. I hope it lasts. It will. He shifted the grocery bag in his hand. I used to think success meant everyone important knew my name. What do you think now? He looked down the quiet street before answering. I think success is going home without wondering what lie I'll have to tell tomorrow. I nodded. That's a good place to start. He smiled one last time. I'm sorry, Natalie. I know. And? Thank you. For what? For refusing to become someone like me just because someone like her tried to make you. I watched him walk away. No dramatic music. No last-minute confession. No miracle reunion. I watched him disappear around the corner. Neither of us turned back. That was probably the healthiest goodbye we'd ever given each other. When I reached my car, my phone buzzed. On the drive home, I caught myself thinking about the joke that started all of this. My office wife remembers what I like better than my actual girlfriend. Maybe she remembered his favorite bourbon. Maybe she remembered every meeting on his calendar. But she never remembered the one thing that actually mattered. Loyalty. A message from Olivia. The final verdict came in today. Every defendant was convicted or accepted a plea. I smiled. I read Olivia's message twice. Then I locked my phone without replying. When I pulled into my driveway, I noticed something. The spare key Evan had returned was still sitting in my cup holder. I smiled, dropped it into the glove compartment, and locked the car. Then I walked to my front door. This time, I never looked back.